MPH Sports Podcast. Talk sport and property with sports people discussing their careers and how property played a part in it.
Robbie Simpson, welcome to Talk Sport and Property. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in. I should be saying, how are you doing, Gaffer? Because for the record, Robbie is the manager of Chelmsford City. How is management treating you, Rob?
Who'd be a manager? No, it's good. It's good. Obviously, getting older, and it just keeps me involved in football.
Yeah.
I'm player manager officially, but I haven't played a minute this season. So, yeah, management, it's interesting. Very different from playing.
So did you think you were always going to go into that, or did you just stumble across that opportunity? Too good to turn down?
No, I never thought that I would go into management. I did my badges because that's what everyone was doing at the time. When you're speaking about what you're going to do after football, the first question is, have you done your badges? So I went and done them. And my mum actually said, and bearing in mind my mum told me I was never going to be a footballer because I was never going to be good enough. When she says, I think you'd be a good manager, it kind of does make you think, oh, actually, if she's saying that I might be good, maybe I would be good. So I never ruled it out, but I never actively pursued it. Yeah. It was just that when I left full-time playing and went part-time, the manager got the sack and I was the oldest person in the change room and they asked me to take interim, and I'm still manager today somehow. So
Well, look, we've got so much to talk about, but we're going to start with your career. 36 years of age, born in Poole in sunny Dorset, an area that I know and love very well. An unbelievable 575 career appearances, 111 goals. You have played for Cambridge City, Cambridge United, Coventry, Huddersfield, Brentford, Oldham, Leyton Orient, Exeter, MK Dons, and obviously your current club, Chelmsford. I mean that is some mileage.
That's a lot, isn't it?
But it all started for you at Norwich City at 9 years of age. Where did you get scouted and what was your life like as a very young academy player?
Well, I've played football for as long as I can remember, playing up age groups in my local team, Nebworth, where I grew up, and played for sort of the East Anglian representative side. Mm-hmm. And we played against we played in Norfolk, and there were some Norwich scouts there when I was 9. And they watched me and picked me up there. So I was at Norwich from the age of 9, played for all their age groups. It was a bit different back then because they had a centre of excellence in Potter's Bar just down the road. Yeah. So there was like a Norwich centre of excellence and a Potter's Bar centre of excellence. And there's a bit of rivalry between the two. And we used to play each other once a year, and it used to be a real tear up. Like who was better, who was the better centre of excellence, who was the better Norwich. But then the academy system came in when I think I was under 15 at the time, and Norwich was renowned as having one of the best, and we actually played the very first academy game against Manchester United academy at Carrow Road. Wow. And it was a big thing at the time, like this whole new academy structure that's going to be across the whole country and produce players and hopefully eventually end up England winning a World Cup or a Euros, a bit like the EPPP stuff. And so that was like a big moment where I thought, I'm at one of the best academies, I could be a footballer here. And then a year later I'm released from Norwich.
Well, after Norwich you concentrated on your studies as well as playing for Cambridge. I mean, you obtained some cracking A-level results. You decided to follow this by studying for a degree in sports science and mathematics at Loughborough University. It appeared that education was equally as important to football. Was that the case with you?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I was naturally a bright lad. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily work hard at my education or enjoy it, but I was just naturally quite good and took things in really quickly. And I guess that's down to my family, because all of my family are really well educated and really super clever. I'm by far the dumbest. But coming back to my mum, she always told me I was never going to be a footballer, so I needed to go to university. And being the youngest sibling, I saw all my brothers and sisters go to university, come back from university in half term or whatever, and look like they were having the best time of their lives. And I was super jealous. So I always wanted to go to uni.
But sorry to interrupt, you're super jealous, but you're also super talented at football. So I guess it's finding that perfect combination that allows you to do what mum tells you,
yeah,
but also do what you want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I found that when I got released from Norwich when I was under 16, I wouldn't have taken a scholarship anyway because they didn't allow you to do A-levels. And I definitely wanted to do my A-levels. And I did want to go to university if it suited. So actually getting released from Norwich was a good thing. I went and joined a fantastic setup at Chelmsford City, where I was part of a really good full-time academy football setup, but also they were partnered with a college that allowed you to do 3 A-levels. So it was a perfect solution for me, really. And in actual fact, it made me a better footballer. Yeah, without a doubt. And it allowed me to continue with my education at a really good college in Cambridge.
You actually won the British University Sport Association trophy all 3 years whilst you were playing for their student team, which is obviously now Loughborough University. What did that actually mean?
It basically meant that Loughborough were the best.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we are. Loughborough's renowned for being a really good sporting institution, and one of the reasons why I wanted to go there was because of that. Not necessarily the education. And actually, at Cambridge City, because I was in the first team at the time when I went to Loughborough, they came up and had a look at the facilities. And my last year of uni, I actually signed for Cambridge United full time. And they came up and had a look, and they just said, "Yeah, you can stay and train here. It's fine. Just come back and play matches for us."
Wow!
So I was literally a full-time student, and I'll be honest, I was living the student lifestyle as well. I was out quite a lot, 50p of vodka Red Bull, and just travelling back for matches. And the other players must have thought, what the hell? We don't see this kid all week. He's come back and he started every week. They must have hated it, but luckily I was scoring goals back then, so they didn't mind too much.
Well, I want to go on to that actually, because in October 2002, you made your first of 154 appearances for Cambridge City. You scored 42 goals for the Lily Whites. You must have only been like, 17, 18?
Yeah, I made my debut for the first team at Cambridge City when I was 16. I remember getting the nod that I was going to be in the first team. We played a Wednesday academy game against Stevenage, and we got a man sent off early on, and we ended up winning 4-3, and I scored all 4, playing up front on my own. And the first team manager was watching, and the academy manager was giving his team talk after the game, and the first team manager just walked in, pointed at me and went, "You're in the first team Saturday," and walked out. Like everybody just looked at me, and I shrunk a bit, thinking I just looked at him and went, "Okay." Yeah. So yeah, and then that was, again, playing men's football at such a young age was really key to my development, and in my opinion was the reason why I made it as a professional, playing men's football at that early age. And it's what I encourage now as a manager. We've got a great youth set up at Chelmsford. I'm giving these young lads an opportunity because I feel like it develops them so much quicker.
I think we had this discussion fairly recently, but didn't one of your fullbacks recently sign for Crystal Palace?
That's right, yeah. So I gave him his debut at 16.
Wow.
And then he did well enough to stay in the side. I thought about giving him his opportunity and then dipping him in and out for a season or two, but I gave him his opportunity. He's our best player. Wow. Consistently as well.
And now he's signed for Crystal Palace.
And now he's at Crystal Palace, yeah. And
fair play.
Other than, apart from an injury, before he got an injury where he had to have an ankle operation. Danny Imre, his name is. He was training with the first team and very close to it, and the injuries kind of set him back a bit, but I'm sure he'll come again.
In June 2006, whilst continuing again with your full-time studies at university, you made a move to Cambridge United, immediately becoming a fan's favourite, scoring 17 goals in just 33 games. Other than your goals, what was it about Cambridge United that the fans loved about you?
That's a good question. I think they just liked that I ran.
Yeah.
I ran around and I got stuck in. You know, I was still young then, 18, 19, and I was coming up against big Conference League 2 centre halves, and I was giving as good as I got. I was elbowing them in the face and injuring them just as much as they were hurting me. And I think the fans liked just the all action, no fear type play, and obviously the goals helped as well. We had a big relegation battle that year, and it was tough because I remember the chairman coming in, dragging me out of the change room before a game into the boot room and saying, "It's down to you to save the club today. Like, we need to win."
Oh, no pressure then.
Yeah, and I was 19, I think, at the time. We ended up winning 2-0 and I got both goals.
Wow.
Somehow, and that really kick-started, because I think it was a game where I think it would have left us adrift at the bottom of the league if we'd have lost against the team that was just above us. And if we'd have lost that, I think the writing was on the wall that the club would probably get relegated. And then I had people telling me that if the club got relegated, it would cease. It would go into liquidation and fold. It would really struggle to recover. So I think the fact that it was on that cliff edge, the fact that my goals helped us stay up and ultimately helped the club survive, I think that's the reason why the fans really, really took to me and hopefully still love me now.
Wow. Well, it was the end of that season that you won a multitude of club awards, including the Supporters Player of the Year, the Cambridge Even News Player of the Year, the official website Goal of the Season. I mean, that earned you a new deal, but one you declined. So, no disrespect to Cambridge United, but did you sense that you were ready just for that next big move?
Yeah, I think it was weird because most of my goals came from January onwards. I got a bad knee injury in the early part of the season, early half of the season. So I'd actually only scored, I think, 2 goals prior to January. And then I just went on a run of scoring 15 goals in the last 15 games. I knew clubs were watching. Clubs had reached out to me. So I knew I was going to leave to go to a championship club. There are a few championship clubs in. I knew I was going to go to a championship club before the end of the season, really. No official talks, but I just knew that there was interest and that there would be offers come the end of the season. So no matter what, no matter what Cambridge offered me, and do you know what? It was pretty much the same money that I got offered at a championship club. I don't know whether that says more about Cambridge than the offers I got from the championship clubs. But I was never staying. I couldn't turn down that opportunity, and I love Cambridge. Obviously, we'll probably talk about it later, but I went back there. I still love it. My wife's family are big Cambridge United fans that still go not every week now, but pretty much every week. So I loved it there. But yeah, it was too good opportunity.
It sounded like you played with your heart on your sleeve, and you did what you had to do as the centre forward, the fans' favourite, kept them operational. And
I loved them because they were so accommodating with my education as well.
Yeah,
they didn't say no, you have to quit university. They allowed me to finish my last year at uni. So yeah, I can't be more thankful to them, really.
Robbie, you signed for Coventry City by Ian Dowie, who hailed you as a future star. What other clubs had you had discussions with, and what were your thoughts on Ian's opinion on his new striker?
Well, I thought he was a bit premature with that. I think.
But was he? I mean, let's talk about this. Was he?
He was, because I feel like I'm very good at assessing myself, and I knew that really Championship was the highest level I could play at.
Yeah.
For me, unless something lucky happened with my footballing ability, i.e. technical footballing ability, Championship was the highest level that I think that was worthy of. The reason why I got to the Championship so early in my career was because I worked my absolute socks off. I wasn't necessarily quick, but I wasn't slow. I wasn't ultra strong, but I put myself about. I was one of those people that got the best out of the ability that I had, which stood out. And I think the rawness, no fear element that they saw at Cambridge appealed to them. And I'll be totally honest, when I signed for Coventry, I thought I was going to go out on loan to a League One, League Two team. I thought they would get me in, loan me out, and then...
They didn't.
No, yeah, they gave me my debut pretty much straight away and took it from there. And I almost signed for Leicester, answering your question.
Did you?
Yeah, Leicester. Milan Mandaric was the owner. There was no manager at the time, so it was all done through him. They offered me more money, but I wanted to wait and see what manager they hired before I made that decision. And I met Ian Dowie a few times and his backroom staff there. That Tim Flowers was assistant, and I just got a good feeling. So Ian Dowie was great. He used to wind me up, actually. He used to just randomly in the canteen after training, he used to look over at the table. He used to shout across the room so everybody could hear. He was like, "Simo, how many degrees have you got?" And I used to look back at him and say, "Oh, one." He went, "Oh, is that all?" And then turn around because he's got two. He's got that.
Yeah, he's a bright guy. We've had him on the pod, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've had him on the pod in our first series. He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. It's just randomly to shout across.
Did it help that he was a striker?
It did, yeah. It helped a lot, and we were every week. Quite often we would meet up on a Tuesday and have a few drinks. It was the culture back then.
Yeah.
But every Tuesday at the end of the session, he used to pull me over and just, "Simo, come over here. Do you fancy doing a bit of individual stuff tomorrow?" And you can't say no. In my head, I'm thinking all the lads are going out tonight. I want to go out with them. But he's pulled me in for one-to-one sessions to work on me. But I'm really thankful to him that he took the time and interest in me to do that.
Yeah, sure. Well, you had 2 seasons at Coventry. You played 71 times. You scored 7 goals. Did you feel you was as successful as you would have hoped for?
I think once I got in, I probably hoped to be more successful. I think, especially when Ian Dowie left halfway through that first season, I think it was then tough for me because Chris Coleman came in, very much saw me as Ian Dowie's signing from non-league, and he kind of did look down on me a little bit, and I was always the easy one to leave out. I was always the easy one to drop from the squad completely because of that, because I was young, come from non-league. So I felt like I never really got a rhythm of games. And actually just before Ian Dowie got sacked, he pulled me in and said, "Right, you're starting Saturday and you're going to get a run of 10 games." And I played one of those games before he got sacked. So it was gutting, really. I felt like that was a big reason why it didn't quite kick off as I'd have liked to in the Championship, because I'd have liked to have stayed in the Championship for the rest of my career. I actually had another year on my deal at Coventry, but I could see it just continuing in the same fashion under Chris Coleman. So it was time to leave.
And you did. You signed for League One side Huddersfield Town for a fee, believed to be in the region of about £300,000. This was clearly the right move then, wasn't it, for you?
Yeah, in hindsight, I wish I'd never left.
Really?
Yeah, and even a couple of months into the season, I've had all my old Coventry teammates messaging to me, "If you'd have stayed, you'd been playing." And it was gutting, and I picked up an injury early on at Huddersfield, and it wasn't a bad injury, but it was a niggly one that wouldn't go away. It just wouldn't go away, and I was actually out for about 8 months really with it. It was just a niggly thigh injury that every time I had a shot, I'd feel a little twinge or a ping and wouldn't want to kick a ball again. And that happened the whole season. I came back for the last game of the season and the playoffs, but it was kind of too late. And because Huddersfield had spent that money on me and they'd signed me to be like their main man to fire them into the Championship from League One, I think they kind of felt a bit aggrieved by it, and the manager certainly did, I think. And we didn't fall out, but he was very much done with me, I think, because
probably spent most of his budget on you.
I was his big signing really to help them fight to promotion, and when we lost in the playoffs, I was the reason for that, I think. So it's a shame.
I guess that would have led to you moving back down south on loan. As you mentioned, you obviously had an injury-plagued time there. It was obviously frustrating, not just for the management, but for you as well. You know, I guess you just needed a club where you could probably just enjoy your football again.
Yeah, well,
without the pressure, I guess.
I wanted to stay at Huddersfield. Obviously, when it doesn't work out, you want to prove that you were the right signing from the previous season, and you want to prove to the fans that like you are the man to fight them to promotion. And I came back to Huddersfield pre-season, and I was on fire. All the new signings that he signed like Joey Good-Johnson, who was on fire at the time in the Championship, signed him. Made some Damien Johnson, he signed from Blackburn, and made some really big signings, and all of them were coming up to me saying, like, why does he want rid of you? But he did. I think the damage was done from the previous season with him, and I left it right until the last point, trying to win him back over. And I signed for Brentford literally the day before the start of the season. I shot across from Huddersfield, met them on the M1 to go up to Carlisle for their opening game of the season. It happened that quickly. But you're right, it was time to leave there, really.
It sounded like your confidence pre-season continued at Brentford. I mean, you played 18 games, you scored 8 times. You then had another loan move to Oldham, which actually became a permanent one. Did you enjoy your time at Oldham?
I did, yeah. I love my time at Brentford as well, and I started really well there. I scored 4 in the first 6. I was on fire, and then we played Sheffield Wednesday live on Sky, and we beat them 1-0. Pretty much with my very last run of the game, I pulled my hamstring, and I didn't quite get back to the level I started with after that there, and ended up with 7 in 18, or 8 in 18 I think I got, which is a good return really in terms of a ratio, but 18 games in a season isn't quite good enough. So went back to Huddersfield, ready to go back for pre-season there, and the day before pre-season started, I get loads of Twitter notifications saying, "Oh, sorry you didn't get a chance." I'm like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And I found out on Twitter that I've been put on the transfer list at Huddersfield.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and it was a struggle getting out of Huddersfield. So I was in pre-season. They wanted me out, and it was a tough time because my brother's wife had passed away, and they lived in Leeds, close to Huddersfield. So I wanted to be close by to my brother, and I said to Huddersfield, "Look, I'm happy to go, obviously, but I want to be local because my brother lives in Leeds. He needs me." And because of me dropping down a level from the Championship to League One and it not working out, in my head I didn't want to drop down to League Two. And they were pushing me to go to League Two teams because there was some big payers in League Two at the time that could cover all my wages, like the likes of Bradford and Notts Counties, who were pushing me to go to them. But I said to them, "Look, I'm not going to drop down a level, and I want to be within an hour from Leeds." And I met Paul Dickoff, who was Oldham manager at the time. He said, "No, we want you. We've already got a lad from Huddersfield on loan. We know what wage he's on. He's on the same as you, so we're going to offer the same amount to get you in." And I was like, "Oh, great, this is perfect. 45 minutes from Leeds, same league."
Paul being another striker.
Another striker, Paul Dickoff, really got on with him. And but they wouldn't let me go. They wouldn't let me go. For ages it went on. Lee Clark didn't want me to go there. First of all, he said, "They're not offering enough of my wages." So I went back and said, "Well, hang on, I know that they're paying the exact same amount as the other guy." And he's like, "Yeah, but we value you more than him." I was like, "Well, you don't, because we're both on the transfer list. So you both value us as surplus to requirements."
So are you having this conversation with the club, or is this...
I'm speaking with the manager at the time,
This is directly between you and the gaffer?
Yeah. And in the meantime, he was making me come in at 7 in the morning to train until 9, leave before the whole squad got there, and then come back at 4:30 when all the squad have left to do another training session till 5:30, 6. So it was a real tough time, and that happens in football. Like, people that don't know football don't see that type of thing. When the club wants you out, they literally make it a living hell for you until you go. But the thing is, I was happy to go, and I had a club to go to, but they wouldn't let me. But then they were still treating me like that. And eventually I picked up the phone to the chairman of Huddersfield, and he's like, "What's going on? Lee Clark's telling me you've turned down Bradford, you turned down Notts County." So I said, "Yeah, I have, because I want to live within an hour from Leeds, and I'm not going to drop down a league." And he was like, "Right, okay." And then I said to the chairman, "Look, there's a club that want me. Just let me go and play football. You don't want me here. Just let me go." And he said about the wages thing, and I said, "Look, I'll forfeit some of my wages. Just let me go." And that's what we did.
Wow.
Yeah, let me go.
I want to take this opportunity to discuss your infamous goal at Anfield in front of the Kop from memory. It's a cracking goal, Rob.
Yeah, it almost never happened. Again, so I went on loan to Oldham, and they wanted to make it permanent. Huddersfield again were sort of dragging their heels, and the chairman actually went on holiday for Christmas. And the game was Liverpool game was in January. I was desperate to get back to Oldham because I'd done well, and we were playing Liverpool in the next round of the cup away. So I was ringing him whilst he was on holiday, saying, "Can we get this done? Can we get this done?" He's like, "Well, no, they want permanent. We don't know whether we want to do that yet." I said, "Look, just loan me, do a month's loan then for January, please. The loan will finish before the end of the January window, gives us time to then sort out the permanent." So eventually got it done. But they were dragging their heels about the permanent, and I was thinking, this isn't going to get done in time here. It's almost... So luckily we did. We signed a 1 month loan, and I was there for the Liverpool Cup game, and yeah, what an experience.
Wow.
To put us 1-0 up, Cop End. And I think my emotions when that went in, I sprinted away from the Cop End to the away fans and slid in front of them, lied on my back. I must have lied down on my back for a good 3 minutes. And it's just
shattered.
Yeah, the release from the stress of the last sort of 6 months, well, longer than 6 months really, 18 months probably, just all came out in that one goal.
Amazing.
It was a great feeling.
I bet it was. I don't want to stop talking about that. That was I could talk about that all day. Rob, look, next up was Leyton Orient. Before a move back to Cambridge, which you've already spoken about openly, how fond of the club that you are. Can you talk about both moves and what it was like to move back to the Yellows?
Yeah, well, Lee Johnson came in as manager of Oldham because the league forms weren't good enough really in those 2 seasons I was there, but we had good cup runs. You know, we played Liverpool both years, lost them the first year, beat them the second year, took Everton to a replay. So we had great cup runs, but the league form wasn't quite there, and unfortunately Paul Dickoff departed. Lee Johnson came in and made me captain for the last few games, and we were in a relegation battle, and I was captain for 3 games. We won all 3, which meant we stayed up, and then we had 2 games left, and Lee Johnson's pulled me in and said, I can't keep you. I was thinking, oh, what? You've just made me captain, we've won the last 3. And he said, yeah, he just said, look, for the money you're on and the money you'd want, I've got other players in mind for my budget. And he said, if I'm speaking to any of our young boys, I'd tell them to look at you for an attitude and all that. And he said, I've loved working with you, but we're just going down a different route. We're going younger, developing players, which was fine. You know, at least he was open and honest with me, pulled me in and was open and honest, gave his reasons, couldn't ask any more.
Football must be so frustrating, the fact that actually you've been given the opportunity to lead the side. Once again, you've helped keep a team up. All of these things in normal life, you get promoted, you get pay rises. But in this regard, you don't.
Yeah, it was tough to take, but I felt like, because of all those characteristics he was saying, in actual fact, his dad was manager at Yeovil that just got promoted to the Championship. He's like, yeah, they like you. They might take you. And ever since leaving Coventry, I was desperate to get back to the Championship, the level that I thought was the highest level I could play, and I wanted to get back there in my prime. I think I was 27, 28 at the time. So I spent the summer trialling at championship clubs, trying to get a move. So I was at Blackburn for a good 6 weeks to 2 months. Gary Bowyer, absolutely loved it there. They really liked me, but the Venkeys were the owners, and there was troubles there to sign players. Then I went to Sheffield Wednesday for a game. Got told by Sheffield Wednesday I'd come in, train, and I'd sign and be in the squad by the Saturday. I went, trained, had 2 training sessions, and then the Friday I come in for training again, expecting to sign something to play on the Saturday. In walks Connor Wickham, so they signed him on loan from Sunderland, I think it was, instead. Pulled me in. I said, what's going on? They said, yeah, we've signed, Connor became available. We signed him, we've had him previously. So I was gutted. And then obviously during that time I was turning down offers from League One and League Two clubs and thinking that I'd hopefully get a deal in the Championship, but it never quite turned out that way. So I was going back to those clubs that did offer me deals saying, look, I'm still available. And I'm like, well, we've spent our budget on someone else now. And it got to the November before I'd got a club, and I just thought, my missus was going to work, coming back, I was still there. I'd been to the gym for the day just to do a bit of fitness stuff myself. She was like, oh, anything today? You got a job today? I was like, no, not yet. And it got to the November and I thought, like, this is silly. I need to just get playing somewhere, anywhere. So I called Leyton Orient, who were interested in me and offered me a deal at the start of pre-season. And I said, look, I'll come and play for nothing. I just need to get back playing. Don't offer me a deal, just sign me, register me, and I'll come and play for you. And fortunately, they took me on, and they signed me on a 2-month deal, so mid-November to mid-January, and I earned a deal for the rest of the season, and we ended up reaching the player final and losing, unfortunately. So I was close to going back to the Championship again. We were 2-0 up at half time in that player final and drew 2-2 and lost on penalties. So yeah, it was. I loved it at Leyton Orient. They gave me an opportunity to get back playing, and then gave me a deal to the end of the season, and it was almost a complete success, but unfortunately wasn't. And the manager called me up and said, look, if we'd have got promoted, I would have kept you, but because we haven't, I'm not offering you a new deal, which was fine. And then went back to Cambridge.
Wow. We need to talk about your next 2 moves, Exeter, and then back locally to MK Dons, which is where you and I met, which we'll talk about later in the pod. Looking back on your career, you must be proud of what you achieved. I think it sounds like you've had a bit of bad luck as well, but I'd imagine that's quite familiar with most. Yeah,
it's common. Yeah, injuries didn't help me. I didn't mention it, but at Coventry, I ruptured my hamstring away at Stoke. Before that injury, I was actually quite quick. I was playing wide right for Coventry, like a flying winger that was good in the air as well. And ruptured my hamstring, and I was never quite the same player, so I had to adapt, and I became pretty much a target man after that. But yeah, like the next 2 moves, Exeter and MK Dons, I would say that 2 of my favourite clubs that I've played for. I loved playing for Coventry in the Championship. I absolutely loved it, and I had some good times at Oldham. But in terms of the feeling of the groups of people and my role within the squads, Exeter and MK Dons were the top 2. And I'll be honest, I never thought I'd leave Cambridge. I thought when I go back there, that's me. I'm going to finish my career. I started my full-time football career here. I'm going to finish it here. But Cambridge, it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. It changed. I didn't really get on with the manager there. I don't think he liked me being a fan's favourite. I think he wanted to be the main man that all the fans loved, and I don't think he could cope with that really. And we did clash. But I loved the club. I loved the club then. I still love it now. Like the first season I was there, I finished top goal scorer. But that summer he put me on the transfer list. We didn't get on. We didn't agree with the way things were going. But he got the sack in the second season, and Sean Derry came in as manager. Got on great with him. Was going really well. Similar to the Lee Johnson though, he pulled me in the January. I had a clause in my contract whether if I made 3 more appearances, I'd get another year and I'd get an increase in my money. And he pulled me in January and said, look, I can't have that amount of budget taken up, so I'm not going to play you for the rest of the season. So I was like, what? Like, finally, like, me coming back to Cambridge, I'm feeling like it's what I wanted it to be under him, playing well, getting on really well with him. Results have picked up. I think we ended up finishing 8th, just outside the playoffs. But at this time, we were on a really good run, like looking like we were going to go on a run into the playoffs. And he's dropped that bomb on me, and I was absolutely gutted. One of the most gutting conversations I've had in football when he pulled me in that January, because it was the club I wanted to finish my career at. Finally, my return was starting to go the way I wanted it to, and then he drops that on me that he was not going to play me anymore. So I said to him, look, that's fine. Obviously, it's your decision. Thank you for being honest. I'm gutted, obviously, but I want to carry on playing because I feel like we've got a chance of promotion, and getting promotion with the club that I started with and that I loved is something that would just top everything. So what's it going to take for me to do that? And he's like, well, we need to take that clause out of your contract then. So I did.
Did you?
Yeah, so I did. And we ended up just missing out, unfortunately. And and then
Did
that
the
was
fans
it.
know this?
No.
Right, wow.
No, I promised not to say anything, and I promised not to say anything to the players as well, because I didn't want anything to disrupt the run that we were on, because we were on gained really good momentum. So we just kept it quiet. I've since spoken about it on other podcasts and stuff, but at the time, no, we were fully focused on getting promoted. But it probably did affect me for the rest of the games.
Naturally.
Yeah, because like I said, I wanted to finish my career there, and I knew even if we'd got promoted, that wouldn't have happened. So it was a little bit. I'm a little bit sour about it still, but that's football, as everybody says. That's football, unfortunately.
But then I don't know, maybe it was your time in your career or what had happened in previous clubs, but you then experienced Exeter and MK Dons, where you did have great moments. And
Absolutely. I mean, my missus didn't like me signing for Exeter because we just got a house built local to, just about an hour down the road from Cambridge. So
lovely house as well.
Yeah, she wasn't happy. But Exeter, what a lovely place to be. Great club. The fans are brilliant. It's a fan-owned club, so they've got real investment in the club, and they bring through young players tremendously, better than any club I've ever been at. Just a real good place to be, and we had 2 really successful years. Unfortunately, again, losing in 2 playoff finals my both years there. I got really bad injury in the first year again. I snapped my ankle, fractured dislocation of the ankle, so I had an operation and was out for a year. But yeah, even then, like the way they looked after me and treated me in that year was amazing. And I'll always have an affinity for Exeter because of that. And we had a real good group of players that were just so together. It's kind of, because you're so far away from everything else, it really brings the squad together. You've got a real good team that socialise away, like all the wives socialise with each other. It was, it was just a great feel good place to be. I absolutely loved it down there. And that continued at MK Dons, to be honest with you. MK Dons, what a great club. The stadium is ridiculous. The people there will do anything to support you and make your life easier. Real good place to be. And finally, after 4 playoff final defeats, pretty much, I got that promotion I was looking for with them.
I remember the picture you sent me. You had a selfie with Stuart Moore.
Yeah.
With you both with a bottle of beer in your hand and your medals in your mouth. I thought, oh boy, it's just so. I knew what it meant to you because of obviously what happened previously, but I got the impression it meant so much to everyone in that changing room in the club. And
so good, honestly. Like for me, I always wanted that promotion. Always wanted it, and I came close, like losing in 4 playoff finals. It would have hurt if I'd have finished my playing career without promotion. I would have probably seen my career as a little bit of a failure if I hadn't have achieved a promotion with a football club, especially after coming so close with so many of them. So to achieve it, in the manner that we did as well, because when I walked into MK Dons, they'd just been relegated from League One, and I walked into a change room and I wide-eyed thinking, what the hell is this? It was an absolute car crash of a changing room.
Do you think that was one of the reasons why you were brought in?
Definitely, without a doubt. Paul Tisdale said that at the time. He said, like, I need you in that changing room.
Yeah.
And he stuck me in between like the two wildest groups of players. He stuck me in between them just so I could calm them down really and get them on board. So it was an experience when we first walked in. I thought, Jesus, never mind promotion, we've got to avoid relegation again here. But we managed to turn it around and go over the line, and celebrating a promotion as well with a group of lads that you spent the whole year with is good. We all went to Marbella. It was really, really good time.
Well, I think that's the best end to end that section of the pod before we hit the quick question round, mate. So thank you for being so open about all that. It's a fantastic career. You should be very proud, Rob.
Thank you.
Right, you ready for my questions, mate?
Yes.
So, number one, the best centre-back you have played against?
I guess in achievement terms, it would be PK when we played against Man United for Coventry. At the time, he wasn't great. We actually beat them 2-0 at Old Trafford. And I think Ferguson soon got rid of him after that. But then he went to Barcelona and absolutely smashed it.
So, career, didn't he?
Yeah, so in terms of reputation and what he's done in his career, PK.
A strike partnership that you would have loved to have been part of? You know, we think of Shearer, Sheringham and York and Cole. Who's Simpson up there with?
Them two. It's hard to beat them two, isn't it? The old SAS. Yeah. The old SAS was class. I think I'd probably have to be part of I've had that. I can't look beyond my Arsenal duo, Bergkamp and Henry.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved them. Bergkamp and Henry can't be beaten.
The best player you have played with in your team?
It's probably the one that stands out at the minute, again, probably based on achievements, is Jordan Henderson. He came on loan from Sunderland to Coventry. And I was playing wide right, as I mentioned earlier, at Coventry, and he came as a right winger. So I hated him at the time because he took my place in the team. I hated him. I didn't want to speak to him, didn't want to socialise with him because he'd taken my place in the team. But you could see that he had something about him then. I didn't expect him to go on to achieve what he's done and be the type of character he was. I knew him as a 19-year-old. I didn't see him as captain material back then at all. But to see him develop the way he did, I mean, I remember watching him, I think it was only a year later, play centre midfield for Sunderland away at Chelsea, and he ran the game.
So I was at that game.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. And I remember how well he played that day. I was thinking, my God, they've got a good player in him.
Yeah, it was I couldn't believe what I was watching really as well. I was like, wow, he's gone back to Sunderland. He must have kicked on, or something must have clicked with him, because the difference between, I mean, he was good at Coventry playing right wing, but to play centre mid at Stamford Bridge and ran the show. And I think Sunderland won that game, didn't they? Yeah. I was like, wow, okay. Text him straight away saying, unbelievable, mate.
Correct me if I'm wrong. When you was at Exeter, you also played with a very young Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, so I was thought about mentioning him as well, because again, I was brought into Exeter to be his strike partner. Me and him up front, him playing just off me. Me being like a focal point to take the defenders away from him and let him do his stuff. And he is probably one of the best characters. Like, I knew as soon as I met him as a person, you knew that he is going to be the best that he could possibly be at anything. Solely focused on on him being the best he can be. Always asking questions about other players I played with and what do they do well. You could just tell that, and he's just such a nice boy. He takes everything you say on board. If you say, I think you could do this a bit better, he will listen, nod, saying, oh, thank you for that. Not, well, what are you talking about, old man? Like, he's like a sponge. He wants to take stuff on. He always wants to get better. He's just so easily coachable, and his natural athleticism and fitness will always take him quite far anyway, his pace. And he's a good friend first and foremost, but what a player.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. The best goal you have scored?
This is the Liverpool one. We already mentioned it. I can't. But when someone still tweets you the Liverpool goal every week,
get this out again.
I still get sent it every week, like, as a memory from some fan that's, I was here when you scored this. So it's it was a shocking first touch, bobbled up, but it bobbled up so nicely to hit on my left foot.
What about the second one?
Yeah, lovely second one. I still haven't found out who Rayner was waving at.
Your best career moment, Rob?
I think either the promotion with MK Dons, and it probably is that, but my very first best moment was beating Man U at Old Trafford for Coventry. It was my first start for Coventry as well, and the whole context of it, I was a student in the July. I graduated from Loughborough in the July, and I signed for a championship club straight away in the same month. So that alone is a student's just signed for a championship club. And then to get my first start, having thought they'd send me out on loan so quickly in the September. And for that first start to be away at Old Trafford against Manchester United, and then us beating them 2-0, it was a proper wow moment for me. Like, if I achieved nothing else in my career after that, that would still be the pinnacle for some people's careers. And I was drinking in the student union 2 months before, getting absolutely slaughtered at a graduation. So, that moment is a surreal moment. And I always look back on that moment to think, wow, what is this? But then to get the promotion was just, in terms of a career, I needed that promotion for me to feel like my career was a worthy one. So that moment as well, to get promoted with MK Dons.
We'll let you have two.
Yeah, thank you.
Your favourite ground? So we know you've played at the Kop, Wembley, Old Trafford. Is there a better one?
No. No. I've got to say Anfield is something special. When you find yourself getting ready for kickoff, and without even thinking, you're singing along to You'll Never Walk Alone. I was singing along to it, thinking, I had to stop and say, hang on a minute, I'm singing along to You'll Never Walk Alone here. It was just that iconic
I can imagine
moment that when they sing that, and it was special because
did you touch the
touch that This Is Anfield, but they I can't remember his name now, but a Liverpool legend had just passed away, so it was quite an emotional You'll Never Walk Alone, because we did the minute silence for him before, and it was quite an emotional You'll Never Walk Alone because of that legendary Liverpool legend's death. So it what really was, hair standing up, goosebumps. And then you're singing along to it. It's just that moment and that atmosphere that ground creates with the passion that they've got and the emotion that was there on the night. It was, and then obviously to score there as well, just
to top it off.
Yeah, we had Oldham had a great following. They had the whole of behind that goal. Loads of fans sang their heart out all day. And
do you ever watch this game back?
I've watched it back once. I haven't watched it back again since. I've got it on a CD somewhere. I think. don't think I can even watch it anymore. There's no CD players. But even our fans, they started off when the You'll Never Walk Alone started. They started off booing it, but by the end of it, they were joining in, and the whole stadium was singing it at the top of their voice. It was a moment I'll never forget.
Yeah, what a memory. If you wasn't a footballer, what do you think you would have done after university?
Partly what I'm doing now. I always used to get asked that question when I was playing. What would you be if you weren't a footballer? And I couldn't give Crouchy's stock answer because I'm a virgin. But I'd always say a financial advisor, and not even knowing what that would entail at the time. I just always used to say it. And my dad worked for Barclays Private Banking for 40 years. So there was an interest in finance there, I guess. maths was probably my best subject at school, so I'd always thought I'd do something finance number related, and without even thinking about it, I'd just say, yeah, I'd be a financial advisor, and not thinking too much of it at all. So towards the latter end of my career, I thought to myself, well, hang on a minute, let's actually explore what this career that I've been saying I would be to everybody if I wasn't a footballer. Let's explore what it entails. And the more I read into it, and the more I thought, yeah, I actually would quite like this career. So started to get my qualifications, and it's my main job now.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a bit. You own two very successful businesses. Obviously, we know that you're a financial advisor, but we also know that you own a company called LAPS, Life After Professional Sport. It's a free membership facility for all professional athletes looking for opportunities during and after sport, as well as a football manager. But which job is your favourite?
My favourite is my main job, without a doubt. Otherwise, it wouldn't be my main job. So I own my own wealth management company now, or I call it a lifestyle financial planning company, because that terminology is important to me. That we might touch upon in a bit, but it's definitely my favourite job. I'm a people person, and in the early part of my career, I was a very selfish footballer. Towards the latter end of my career, I was a very unselfish footballer, and I loved seeing people achieve their goals. I knew that I was accepting that I was never going to play in the Championship again. So I accepted that I reached my goal of playing the Championship. I reached as high as I could. And towards the latter end of my career, I wanted to help others achieve theirs in football. And I wanted that to carry on post-football. It developed a real passion for me for helping people, and seeing other people achieve their goals really did, I guess, selfishly make me feel good at the same time. So I couldn't think of doing anything better than achieving that and helping others achieve, which would mean that I'm a success. And again, LAPS does that. I started LAPS during my playing career, because that time at Oldham where I was out of contract, I felt like that could have been the end of my football career before I even knew it, in the blink of an eye. And I was very fortunate that I was good with my money. My dad, working for Barclays, made me good with my money. So I had a safety net there. And because of my prior education to football, I had education there as well. But even someone who, like myself, was probably really well equipped to deal with that situation, if that was going to be the end of my football career, I was still anxious. I was still going to the gym on my own each day, coming back thinking, God, what am I going to do? Wife getting home saying, have you got a job yet? It was tough. Watching my pot of savings, spending it when it's really, I'd earmarked it for future stuff. It was a really tough time, and I didn't feel like there was enough support there for me at that time from the likes of the PFA or even my old club, but then they've got no obligation to support me like that. But the PFA, I felt that there wasn't enough support for me at that time. And when I did reach out to them, they said, oh yeah, what course do you want to do then? I was like, well, I don't want to do a course. I've already got a degree. I want a job. I need to get paid. What careers might be suitable for me with this degree and my background? And they didn't really have any answers for me. They were like, oh yeah, we've got some coaching jobs on the website. Have you done your badges? I was like, well, yeah, I've done my badges, but I'm not sure I really want to be a coach or a manager. And that was it, really. That was the most support I got from them. And I look up, they said, do you want me to add you to, do I want them to add me to their transfer list? So all the players that are out of contract that have been with clubs previously. I was like, yeah, add me to that list. I said, oh, can I have a quick look at it? It's like 300 to 400 names on there.
Wow.
And it really hit me that if I'm feeling anxious and I'm probably in a good situation to be equipped to deal with it in terms of my education and my savings behind me, what must these other lads be feeling who probably haven't got the education that I had and maybe haven't been as good with their money as I had? Like, they must be, I don't know, I really felt for them. And I guess that really ignited a passion within me as well, that, hang on, there needs to be more support here, and I might be in a position to put something in place to do it. And that's how Laps was born in my head, really. So I knew there was support needed for the players. And with my Loughborough connections, I reached out to people in other sports, and the feeling was very much the same, that it's your career can end just like that. Before you know it, bang, it's gone. You need another career, or you need something else to then take you on and live the rest of your life with. And so it's a really anxious time for all sports people. And I knew that there was something needed in that area from a sports person's perspective. But it wasn't until I met my Laps business partner who runs the company now, called Rob, who works in recruitment, that I really realised how valuable sports people are beyond sport. Most of us think we're worthless after we finish playing. Most of us do, and they still do now. But the very fact that they've become professional sports people has meant that they're driven, meant that they're determined, meant that they're resilient, because undoubtedly they would have had setbacks. It's probably meant that they're easily coachable, so they can learn very quickly. And those lists of attributes can go on. I can go on and on and on. Good communicators, captains will be good leaders, all this type of thing. They can deal with injury, they can deal with pressure situations. All these little skills, you call them soft skills, are so valuable beyond sport and in working environments. It's why big corporates get sports people to come in and speak to them, because of that mentality. They're really valuable beyond sport, and they don't know it. But I didn't know it until I met Rob, and we just put our heads together, and Laps was born between the two of us.
Yeah, I want to just also mention we've done some great work with Laps. I mean, anyone that doesn't know about Laps needs to reach out to Robbie. You can probably find him on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. But genuinely, this has helped change so many young athletes' lives. Not even young athletes' lives. We've attended an event with you in the past at the Etihad, probably about 3 years ago, and there must have been several hundred athletes there from 18 to probably 35, 36. And it was those 35, 36-year-olds that was obviously nearer an age gap to me. We were talking about their career, and I remember one chap who I won't mention, but he said, I am genuinely worried. I actually don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage come the end of the year.
Yeah.
But you guys do provide some fantastic opportunities for sports people, not just footballers, is it, either?
No, all sports, yeah. And I remember walking into the Coventry changing room when I first signed for them, all giddy, thinking, oh my God, I'm around millionaires, just signed for a championship club, they're all on loads of money. And I sit down in between two of the oldest ones, and they're having a conversation over the top of me about becoming a mortgage advisor, and one of them's thinking about becoming a doctor. And I'm there thinking, what the hell are you two doing speaking about careers? You're championship footballers. You're set for life. And it was really then at that very early age for me that I realised, oh, hang on a minute, it's going to end one day, and the likelihood is you're going to need another career. Or not even that, you might not even need a career, but you might want another career. You might not want to just sit at home and do nothing and spend your money. You might want something else to get your teeth stuck into. And I appreciate the plug. I was going to plug it anay, but I appreciate it.
We were going to talk about Laps in the second half of the pod, but to be honest, I like the fact that we can just talk naturally and openly about this. What is the website if anyone wants to check it out?
Just www.laps.careers.
Awesome. Right. Honestly, anyone that's maybe struggling to maybe think about what they're going to do after sport, just check it out. It's free. Become a free member. And if you want any other questions, just give Robbie a nudge.
And with what you do, with everything what I do, it's miles easier if you start early. The earlier you start, the easier it is. But that doesn't mean it's ever too late as well at the same time. It's never too late, but the earlier you start, the easier it'll be for you. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. Well, do you know what? I did have a couple more questions, but do you know what? We're going to end it on a high. That was absolutely fantastic. Let's come back and talk property.
Talk Sport and Property Podcast, sponsored by MPH Sports Property Academy. Download the app today from the App Store or Google Play by typing in MPH Sports, the trusted go-to app for sports people looking to buy or learn about property.
Robbie, welcome back. You and I have met 3, maybe 4 years ago now. Probably as you first signed for MK Dons. You were very welcoming. I reached out to you via LinkedIn. We'd obviously set up MPH at the time. We explained sort of the workshops that we wanted to do. You felt that was very compatible for Laps, and we've been quite close pals ever since, really, haven't we? But has property always sort of interested you? And when did you buy your first property?
I bought my first property when I signed for Coventry. Yeah, I thought straight away that I just signed for Coventry, buy my first flat straight from uni. All my other uni mates were like, "Wow, like that's incredible. We've got all this student loan debt, and you bought your first property already." So I was straight on the ladder, really, and I kind of went about it a good way because the guy who was selling, the flat was empty. But I wanted to go in there somewhere straight away because my student halls had kicked me out. So I needed somewhere to go straight away, and I didn't want to stay in a hotel. So I just said to him, "Look, while the deal's going through, can I rent off you?" And there was actually no obligation to buy after the rent. So I actually moved in, paying some rent. I paid over the odds to rent it for a bit. But it kind of would either cement whether I wanted to buy it or not, because I lived there for like 3 months while the whole sort of sale and negotiation process was going through. But I bought that, and unfortunately, that was 2007.
Oh.
So just before the property crash, I got a fixed mortgage just before all the interest rates then went right down to like 0.5% or whatever they were. So
welcome to the property market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it can happen, you know. My plan was to every club I go to buy a property there and keep the one I left.
What portfolio you would have had?
Yeah, but it didn't. Do you know what? My next move to Huddersfield, it didn't quite work out because I found a flat that I really liked, did the same, rented off them. They were agreed a price, got valued way under that price, and it wouldn't have been a sound purchase for me. So I stayed renting it, hoping that he would agree to a lesser amount, and then obviously the troubles happened with Huddersfield, where I then went on loan. And when I went on loan, the loan club put me up in a hotel. Brentford put me up in a hotel for that duration. Then I went on loan to Oldham, and when I was at Oldham, I stayed renting the flat that I was still hoping to try and buy from when I was at Huddersfield, but never quite worked out.
What did you do with the property in Coventry?
So I rented that out.
Did you?
Yeah. So that stayed, that remained, because that was my plan. Live in it, move, buy a property there, rent the one I've left out, move, rent that out. So I would have a load of buy-to-lets eventually, and then so that was the plan, but it didn't quite work out like that. When I signed permanently for Oldham, again found a lovely place, rented it, was trying to buy it. She didn't want to sell.
Was that always in your mindset? Because it was obviously quite successful with the Coventry flat, you're thinking, actually, I'm just going to rent and try and buy the one I'm renting.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Do you think that's quite a common thing? Because it's almost unusual. You're trying to buy a property off someone who enjoys taking your rent.
Yeah. This house that I rented in, the one in Leeds, it was up for sale. But because we were negotiating price, I needed a place to live. I said, and because it worked so well in Coventry, and it almost worked out well because we did agree a price in the one in Leeds, when I signed for Huddersfield. We did agree a price, but it just got valued way under. So,
I mean, that doesn't happen. Well, it doesn't happen at all, really, with us. If we're represented as a player and we find them somewhere, for it to be down value that much, that wouldn't.
It was a time though, 2007, 2008,
it was
where
awful, wasn't it?
People are trying to get their money back on their places.
And lenders just weren't prepared to take that risk and give it.
Yeah, so it's just a bad time, really. And
right.
The one in Manchester when I signed permanently for Huddersfield, that wasn't for sale, but I loved it, and I just thought, right, well, let's just rent this. And I was speaking to the neighbours. the lady hated managing the property. She'd had bad tenants before me. So by all accounts, they said, yeah, she'd sell. But then she never would. So it just didn't work out, unfortunately. And then when we left Manchester, we bought, and I signed for Leighton Orient. We bought a plot, and the house was built on that plot.
So did you sell the Coventry property in the end?
I sold the Coventry property to fund that. Yeah,
you've got a lovely house. Obviously, I've been there a number of times, and it's a beautiful home. It's obviously a new build. When was it fully completed?
2015.
Right.
So I managed to somehow get back what I paid for that Coventry flat. So there's no gain on it. It was just because I bought it just before the big crash. By the time, 8 years later, it just got back to what it was valued for when I first bought it.
Did you ever experience life-changing money? I know you said you were negotiating and trying to buy, but you were renting. Why didn't you buy, though? You had the money, clearly, so you've obviously experienced some money there in order to open up negotiations on these properties that you're going to sort of rent with you to buy in. What distracted you? Was it just the fact that you were playing football all the time?
No, it was just that I wanted to buy.
So you're thinking, I'm emotionally attached to this, so I want to buy this one, and I'm not interested in actually parking my money somewhere else that might be able to actually help pay the rent on this one. Did you ever? Because look, you are bright. You're super bright. You're a very intelligent guy. And what we're trying to expose here is that what could you have done differently? Because obviously you've changed clubs 11 times in your career. You've now got a beautiful forever home, if that's what you want in life.
Yeah, lockdown might have changed that opinion on the forever home.
But I'm just thinking, could you have made better decisions?
No, I don't think so. I think that my plan was to, like I say, live in them. And then when I moved, rather than sell them, keep them as an investment. So it wasn't ever investing. Wasn't the plan. It wasn't the thought process to invest in the property. It was to live in it, but then not get rid of it and then keep it as an investment after. But it's almost like a natural investment rather than.
But you know now that wouldn't have been the most tax efficient way of you actually buying assets.
Yeah, but I had other tax efficient investments at the time.
Yeah.
So my money was with a wealth management company. I personally had a financial advisor, and so I had that as what I felt like. That was
your safety net.
Yeah, that was that was my savings. My investment was that.
I love that we're starting to already butt heads on property or
yeah that's it. But that's why me living in a property and then moving, but then keeping that property as an investment, that for me is a great thing, because you've got, like with everything, you need to diversify with everything in life, not just investments. You need a bit of everything. That's why I tell footballers, don't solely be football the whole time. It's not healthy. And in the long run, when things change, you might hit a wall. If you diversify, then you've got a good thing. If one thing stops, the other thing actually might do well. And that's why I think it's the whole thing, like you say, between investing in the stock market or property. None of it's a wrong answer.
No.
None of it is. It's just getting a good balance of both.
Yeah, this is why we've always worked really well together, really, because I think, we almost complement each other with what we do. I want to just go back to you living out of a suitcase, a hotel room, rented accommodation, probably a friend's sofa or something during these moves. Did it ever affect you on the pitch? This travel arrangements and staying and stuff.
Yeah, I think that the only one that maybe did take its toll, especially when things went badly, so when I got an injury, was probably when I lived in a hotel. To begin with, it was great. I'm in a hotel, my bed's getting made for me every day. But then you soon realise you don't have a kitchen. You've got to eat out every day, or go around someone's house, and you haven't unpacked your suitcase on the floor because for all you've got a tiny hotel wardrobe and chest of drawers. So that's and when you're injured and not playing and things aren't going well on the pitch, then it's hard mentally then, for sure.
Did you get support at each club with finding a place to stay?
Well, Brentford, actually, that they had a deal with the hotel, but the agreement was that I would find myself a flat to rent and they would pay for that flat. So I did. I found a one-bed studio flat in Richmond for $1,500 a month. I think it was $1,200, $1,500 a month. Quite cheap, I thought. And so I said, look, I found this place, studio flat, Richmond, right on Richmond Green, lovely place. I said, look, I'll be really happy there. Let's do this. Save you paying
hotel,
whatever you are a night for the hotel. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah, let's look at it. And then they pulled me in like a week later and said, we found this flat in Feltham for £800 a month. There you go. You're moving into that next week. I was like, no, I'm not.
Lovely.
I was like, no, I'm not. So, and they were like, well, we're not being held to ransom. And I was like, no, well, the agreement was I'd find myself a flat where I think I'd be happy with. And until that time, you'd pay for the hotel. So I found this that I'm happy to go to. And I'd never been to Feltham before, but I texted my mates saying, what's Feltham like? They were like, the only thing there is a prison. I was like, right, okay. I don't think I'm going to do that then. No disrespect to everyone who lives in Feltham listening to this, obviously. But
I think the reason why I asked that question is, looking at what we both do in sport, particularly with you do so much in education, and you've been so influential for us as well, Rob. You know that. We're now starting to be contacted by player liaisons and by clubs to say, actually, can you help us with this? Because at the moment, I think even, obviously post COVID, that they haven't always got the financial power to recruit more personnel in to be able to help facilitate a new player with accommodation. I'm just relating it to you, really, because you had moved, obviously, 11 times, if you would also experience some difficulty in thinking, well, hang on a second, I don't know anything around here, whether it's Huddersfield or Exeter or, Coventry you bought. But what does a younger player with maybe some savings do when they move to a new area? And is the club actually going to do everything they can to make that whole move?
Yeah, the player liaisons at Coventry was brilliant. He said, like, Leamington Spa, beautiful. Most of the players live there. Be perfect for you. We'll help you find they had an agreement with a estate agent that was in Leamington, so put me in touch with her. She was great, walked me through everything. She was perfect for that, and it worked out brilliantly. The one at Huddersfield, it was interesting because he started showing me around Huddersfield, flats in Huddersfield, and he hadn't got to know me yet. Obviously, I'd come from living close to London and then living in Leamington, which is a lovely place, and he showed me around areas of Huddersfield, and he showed me this. Remember him showing me this one flat, and I've walked out on the balcony, and I've looked down, and there was a man walking his goat. I said, so I started making a big fuss. I said, Jesus, there's a man walking his goat down there, and he's going, yeah, as if it was normal. Didn't bat an eyelid. Yeah, you'll see a few of them. I was like, what? And I just said to him, I think I need to live in a city up here, up north. I think I need to find a city to live in. And he's like, well, the only city is Leeds, and you can't live there. I was like, why can't I live there? He was like, well, it's Leeds, isn't it? Huddersfield-Leeds rivalry. I was like, is it really big? I thought Leeds' main rivals was like Manchester United, really.
That went down well.
Yeah, it didn't go down well. But I did buy it. I tried to get that place in Leeds, and even the manager of Huddersfield just said, because we're in the same league at the time as well, actually. And when the derby was on, it was actually a brilliant derby. And there is a rivalry, but Leeds obviously see themselves as a bigger club, and Man United as their main rivals rather than Huddersfield. But yeah, at the time, I remember signing, the manager goes to me, just be careful when you're out and about. This is early on. Just be careful when you're out and about, especially like if we played them after a game we've played them. Just be careful, but don't mind it. So it's fine.
Rob, education was really important to you and your career. Did you ever experience many workshops that you do with laps that you've helped us do with property when you were playing?
No is the answer. Well, towards the end, yes, it changed, but towards the beginning, the first, I had a full-time career about 13 years, probably for the first half of that, first 7 or 8 years. The only talks we had were from people trying to come in and do like these schemes, like pyramid schemes or weird schemes to try and get your tax back that all failed. It very much felt, looking back on it now, it was very much someone trying to take advantage of footballers that come in and spoke. Looking back on it now, I feel like angry that they were allowed to come in and speak to us. It was really bad. But now, like you say, like we first met because at laps we go around the clubs and give talks to the younger players, telling them to plan for their future and start early, and we call them workshops play it forward. Play your life forward. What do you want it to look like? How can we help you? And that's how we first met, because you were doing complimentary talks about property, and you don't get taught how to buy property in school, do you, even? And it's a big thing. It's a big thing in someone's life, buying their first house or buying any type of property. So to give that education out is a real value add, and you're helping someone. And again, come back to having this passion for helping people, and I saw it in you, which is why we hit it off so well. And like I say, it's many different things, whether it be career, whether it be investments, whether it be property. As long as the moral and the end goal is that you're actually trying to help someone with their life and their future, then I absolutely love it and I'm all for it.
How much do you think Laps has contributed towards football's mindset and education changing since over the last 4 or 5 years? Because I think you've probably done more than what you think you have.
Yeah, it's a good question. I felt like when we first started Laps and I took it to organisations like the PFA, I felt like they would be all over it. I felt like they would go, oh my God, this is amazing. It's exactly what we need. Can we... It
was almost a solution for it.
Yeah, because of what I went through, I know that they didn't have it. And they still don't really have it. I thought that they would say, right, can we bring you in, use you part of our service to the players? Bearing in mind, I haven't asked them for anything. I just felt like what we created was something that none of these organisations had, and I still don't think have to a certain extent. I thought that they would really embrace us, especially me being a PFA member still, so I'm a lifetime member of the PFA, especially me being a former footballer, experienced what I've told them that I experienced when I had that time out of contract. I thought they'd be really welcoming and almost bring us in as part of their offering to all the players. And all I asked for was I just said, look, all I want you to do is make every single player in the whole country aware that Laps is here, it's free, use it as you wish. It's here, it's free. That's all I wanted from them. And I still haven't got that, unfortunately. Still haven't got that. I've even offered to give them money to get the message out there, and they've refused it, which hurts, to be honest with you, really hurts, especially as I'm a member of the PFA. And instead, it's almost like they took us as a bit of a threat for some reason, whereas I specifically designed Laps to work alongside sporting bodies, player associations. I designed it to work alongside them to add to their offering. No money. We're not asking for money off the players to become a member even. It's just an added service to them. And for whatever reason, it come across as though they see us as a bit of a threat. I mean, the Premier League have been fantastic because they've seen it as a value add to their younger players, which is why they've allowed us to do the workshop. And the League Football Education has seen it as a real value add, which is why we did events like you came to, the Etihad, like a careers fair type
and Villa
thing.
Park as well, didn't they?
And Villa Park, yeah, and unfortunately the rest got cancelled because of COVID. But they want us to do them again when normality returns a bit more to hosting big events like that, which is great. They're getting really on board. And And the PFA, to be fair, I think maybe you're right, because they have seen us and what we're doing. They've upped their game a bit. They're now doing a lot more and a lot better things, which is great. But I still think the simplest solution is just to bring us on board and let us be part of their offering to players at no cost.
Let's hope someone's listening. I want to almost end this talking about RS19 financial planning. Robbie, I've seen your journey and your transition go from football to the launch of RS19 financial planning, where only Wednesday this week we had a fantastic golf event which you kindly hosted and treated 40 of us to. It was a remarkable event with all sorts of personalities there. It was in business and sport, and it was absolutely fantastic, and one you should be very proud of, really, to be honest with you. Can you explain to anyone listening what financial planning means?
Yeah, for me, I've titled my company RS19 Lifestyle Financial Planning for a reason, because I feel like whenever someone says that they're a financial advisor, immediately the response was, I haven't got enough money for that, or they're only after your money. And it's not for some reason, it's not a very trusted occupation. And the reason why I've sort of championed lifestyle financial planning is because it's more than your money, and it's about you, and getting to know people is what I love, and getting to know what people want right now, what their lifestyle is, what they enjoy doing in 10, 15 years time, and in longer term, right the way in the future in the retirement. How do you see it? How do you envisage your life? What do you want it to look like? Okay, now we've got to know each other's personalities. I know exactly where you're at now, what you like doing, what you want to do in the future, whether it be you want to travel after you finish playing or after you retired or whatever. Leave a legacy to your kids. Right now I know that. Now you can plan. So let's look at where you're at now financially. And let's look at how you're supporting your current lifestyle, what you want to live right now. And if it's surplus, right, what are you doing with that spare money now? Or that spare capital? Are you using it tax efficiently to help you grow, to be able to help you live your lifestyle that you want in the future? And that's what it's all about. I liken it to agents, where they approach footballers and say, or any sports people say, I can get you a move. You haven't got to know the person yet. What if he doesn't want to move? What if he's absolutely happy at that football club? How can you help him then? Well, I might be able to get him the best deal. Right. Now you're talking. Now you can actually do your job. Get to know the person first, what they want. Don't just charge in, I can get you a move. Can get you a move to this club. What if that player doesn't want it? What if the player's totally happy, settled in the area with their family? It's exactly the same as me for lifestyle financial planning. I want to get to know the person first, build a relationship with them, get to know what their lifestyle is like now, what lifestyle they want in the future. Right, now we've established that. Now let's look at your finances and let's help you prepare and plan so you can live the lifestyle that you want to live.
Are you surprised in how successful you've been over these past couple of years doing this?
It is pretty crazy to think that 2 years ago I was just playing football. It's pretty crazy, yeah. And you know, I'm still learning really as I go, but I've been really miles more. It's a bit like with my football really. I never thought I'd play in the Championship at 22. I thought I would be in the Conference, maybe then go to League Two, then work my way up to League One, then play in the Championship, and then stay there, and then eventually come back down. And it's been that quick for me, and I think it's been quick outside of football with Laps and with RS19 now launching. It's been quick because one, I'm passionate about it, and the main reason for me, I'm enjoying it. You got to enjoy what you do, I think, and if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. You asked me what job I enjoyed the most earlier, and I'm spending the most time on RS19 because I'm absolutely loving it. I'm loving meeting new people, and I'm loving helping them make a plan, and I'm loving helping them achieve the lifestyle they want to live.
I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that RS19 is going to be huge.
Thank
There's
you.
no question, and I'm really looking forward to complementing your business on the property side for many years to come. I'm also mindful we've got a 12:45 table reservation in the Ivy, so thanks for coming on, mate.
That's very kind of it. Are you paying for this?
I think I probably, considering you paid a lot of money for golf for the other day, I think this is the least I can do. Robbie Simpson, thank you so much for coming on TalkSport and Property, mate. You've been you've been unbelievable for MPH Sports for the last sort of however many, 3 or 4 years now. Thanks for your support. Thanks for being a great mate, and I can't wish you any more success than I do with RS19, mate. And anyone wants to get in touch, where are they going to contact you?
They can go to www.rs19.co.uk.
You've been listening to TalkSport and Property. Visit the App Store and download the MPH Sports app today, or keep up with us over on Instagram.